Here it is, the new Apogee Symphony desktop. Why am I excited to have this? Well, a couple reasons. This features Apogee's Symphony line of analog to digital and digital to analog converters. And so, for instance, for my mastering work, knowing that I have their top of the line flagship converters is really a great thing. Another reason to be excited about this is that it runs plugins on its internal DSP. It's something they call Alloy mic preamp emulation, and it basically runs on the internal DSP. It's a combination of analog circuitry and digital signal processing to get these emulations of, for instance, a Neve preamp and an old Ampex 2 preamp. So for, recording bass and things like that, that's going to be really exciting. One headphone output here and one headphone output back here that can run separate mixes. There's a guitar and or bass input here. Two more analog inputs here. Input 2 is shared with this front input, so you can only use one of those at a time, if that makes any sense. Balanced outputs, USB-C connector, so you can connect it to Mac, PC, or an iOS device. Optical in and out. And then one thing I really like here is the power connector is a locking mechanism. So you just plug it in and then give it a quarter turn, and then it's stuck and you can't pull it out, which is very secure. So that's awesome. Let's hook it up real quick and see what it does. All right, so we're on the main screen here. As you can see, these represent the two analog inputs, then the main speaker output, and then your two headphone outputs. One thing I really like is that when you click on this, you can set that to do different things. In my case, I have this set to toggle the mute state of either the output or the two headphone outputs. So right now, my main out is muted and my headphones are on, and if I just click it, then my headphones are muted, both of them, and my speakers are on. So the way you get around here is you just tap one of these. If you tap it again, you get your input gain that you can just change like this. You can also swipe to the next screen and then choose your different preamp. So right now this is their most sort of neutral Apogee preamp. They also have a Neve 1066, which is, obviously a legendary preamp. Just tap this and you can adjust the input gain. You can set the output level here. You can also set the input and the output sort of close to where you want it, and then if you link the two via this little button here, then any adjustments that you make to the input gain has the inverse reaction on the output level, so you can sort of drive the input a little more, and then the output just goes back so you're not overloading your recording software. It has two built-in mixers. This is mixer 1. You can basically set the levels for your analog inputs, your optical inputs, the playback from your recording software, and then your master. And you could just hit any one of these repeatedly to get, in this case, to the different analog ins, your optical inputs, playback, or you can just swipe. And then this is how you get back to the main screen. Okay, so if we wanted to record some bass, all we got to do is plug into this front input here, which is input 2, and you just click on it again, adjust the input gain. And then over here, you can choose those different preamps. So right now we're on the regular Apogee preamp. We can choose the Neve. Adjust the input gain. Okay, so that's overloading a little bit. There's the output. Still a little hot, so I'm just going to back it down to about here. As you can see over here, there's room here for presets. Those have not yet been implemented in the software, and those will come in a later, I should say firmware, in a firmware update. So for now, those are disabled, but those are coming. Let's check out the Ampex 2 preamp. I found that for bass for this one, I need to engage the pad, because if I just do it like this, even with the input gain at 0, it sounds pretty hairy. And so if I just engage the pad, that'll give me a little bit of room to move. All right. There's one feature that I can't show you yet because that is also coming in a soon-to-be-released firmware update, and that is the fact that you can run Apogee's optional suite of plugins that includes a whole bunch of stuff, great, compressors and preamps and a bunch of other things. You basically have a choice of running the plugins on here or in your recording software. And to me, that's great. When you're tracking, you can run it directly off the DSP, which means almost no latency, and you can make the mix exactly like you want it to be. And then let's say you're maybe on the road or on the go and you don't have this thing with you, those plugins will run exactly like you had them in your recording software in your DAW. And so to me, not being tethered to this device for your projects and your sessions is really, really huge. I love the way they implemented that. All right, we'll leave it there for now. Apogee Symphony Desktop.